Hello and welcome to the Fantasy Sanctuary Week 12. Hopefully you've already had that little taster of game day action on Thanksgiving, on Black Friday, but now you're here for the main course. It is the main slate. Of course, I'm talking about the Fantasy Game Day 8. I'm going to walk you through 10 picks that you must be getting into your lineup. 2 captains, 2 quarterbacks, 2 running backs, 2 wide receivers, and of course, 2 tight ends. But if you haven't yet tested out the Fantasy Game Day app, it is a phenomenal new daily fantasy app that you can play in the UK. It is UK only. And if you use our code TFS23, you will get a free second entry when you deposit. When you enter your first lineup, you'll automatically be credited with that free second lineup. So let's dive in. We start with the all-important captain picks, and I've identified one matchup that I'm targeting for my captain picks this week. It is Stefon Diggs, AJ Brown, that juicy Philadelphia Buffalo matchup, 48.5 over under. These are the 2 best receivers on the slate. There's no real high-priced running back that I love. So it's a case of which way do you want to skin this cat? Are you going to pay a little bit more for AJ Brown? Or do you save a little bit of money, go with Stefon Diggs? Either way, I'm expecting this matchup to be a really high-scoring affair, and these 2 guys are going to be phenomenal. For me, I'm going Stefon Diggs. We know that the Eagles are one of the worst teams in the league against wide receivers at the moment, and I think that Stefon Diggs could be due for an explosion. I think the Bills, look, they need to win. They're basically in the playoffs already because every game is a must-win for them at the moment, and I think that Stefon Diggs and Josh Allen could have a huge matchup this week. Diving across to the quarterbacks, look, you could go really expensive. Jalen Hurts, Josh Allen. It makes filling out the rest of the lineup a little bit expensive if you're going to try and stack your captain with your quarterback. But 2 guys I'm loving. Trevor Lawrence, again, really juicy matchup with the Texans. I think if you can get a lot of Jacksonville Jaguars, a lot of Texans players in your lineup, you're going to be sitting pretty. He's coming off that phenomenal 32-point game last week. I think that Trevor Lawrence has been playing good football. I think the scheme's not been helping him. I think he's not been helped by some drops by his receivers, and the fantasy production's not been there. But I wouldn't be shocked if Lawrence goes on a run here, puts together some really good games, and ends up making a tear down the stretch. So I really like him. There's also some intriguing stacking options with Lawrence that I'll come to in a minute. And then the other option, Desmond Ridder. If you're wanting to go cheap at quarterback, Ridder could be a decent option. He's had his little rest. He's got his head right. He's coming back in. They've said he's the starter for the rest of the season, and I think that this could potentially be a really good thing for this Falcons offense. It's not the best over-under at 42, but there's intriguing. If you want to get different, if you want to try and save some money at quarterback so you can spend up on studs elsewhere, Desmond Ridder, I mean, he's had 4 top 12 weeks. He's not a complete nobody, and at £4,600, is saving a hell of a lot of money compared to a Josh Allen, Jalen Hurts, who are both up around 8,000. At the running back position, back to the well again. James Conner, £3,800. Really intriguing matchup with the Rams. Okay, the production's not been phenomenal this year, but he's not really letting you down. I don't expect Michael Carter to eat into him massively, and I think that there's a solid floor there. You know, if he's getting 10 points, it's 2.5 times his value already. And I think there's a 20-point ceiling in there still. So, yeah, I really like James Conner as a pick. And then Jonathan Taylor, he's the must-start running back. He's the player you can squeeze in all over that lineup. Decent over-under at 44. He is getting work in the passing game as well, over a 10% target share. And if you're wanting to try and go maybe a star and a scrub at running back, Jonathan Taylor's the best running back on this slate right now. At the wide receiver position, it's this Houston-Jacksonville matchup. If you're not going for the big guns in the Philly-Buffalo, you've got to be spending some money here. I talked about Trevor Lawrence. The obvious stacking option is Calvin Ridley, priced super cheap at $3,400. I'm expecting there's potential that he could return 4 times his value this week. That's what I've got projected at, averaging over 12 points a game. But we've seen when Zay Jones is back, and last week he moved into those reduced splits, he got to run out the slot and he had a phenomenal game. I'm expecting the Jaguars not to go back to how they were earlier in the year, and I think Calvin Ridley could have a phenomenal end to the season. And at 3,400, he is a must in almost every lineup. And then, of course, Tank Dell. averaging over 25 points the last 3 weeks. There's potentially some sneaky calls that you could squeeze him in as a captain this week. That juicy 48.5 over under. If you can go Trevor Lawrence, Calvin Ridley with the tank Dell bring back, that is a really intriguing way to start your build. And also it saves some money so you can go and attack that Buffalo Philly matchup, which is very expensive. Talking of the Buffalo Philly matchup, another Buffalo player that I think is an intriguing option, again, priced very cheap, £4,000. Obviously, Dalton Kincaid has been getting it done the last few weeks. He's playing over 75% of the snaps since Dawson Knox went down injured. And I really think that Dalton Kincaid is almost a plug-and-play tight end at this point. And then the guy, Trey McBride, no one wants to talk about it, but he is an absolute star. Since the Zach Ertz injury, top 3 tight end in almost every category. Priced up this week at 4,200, but I think, that 4,000 range, it feels like you're still saving money because there's no Kelsey and you're not paying up for those super elite studs. So, yeah, I quite like these two as both options and certainly guys that I'm finding in a lot of my lineups. But is there somebody else that I've missed? Is there someone that you want to get in your lineups? Let me know in the comments below. And also, don't forget, if you've not yet tried it out, go across, download the Fantasy Gameday app on Apple Play Store. Use that code TFS23 when you're making your first deposit. As soon as you enter that first lineup, you will get a free second entry. Best of luck this week, and let's bring home some money.